The second bold prediction, this one I think just got published today on the Cincy Jungle site. So if you are a reader, haven't seen it, or have seen it, or not a reader, whatever, feel free to check it out. There's a poll, so you can tell us if you think this next prediction is, actually all these have a poll, so you can let us know if you agree or not. But the next one is Carlos Dunlap finishing in the top 3 in the NFL in sacks. Something he's never done in his career, but if you look at his numbers, he's actually the top sack producer of anyone who was taken in the year he was drafted. And interesting side note, Geno Atkins, I think, is number 2 or 3 of that same draft class. So obviously a very productive class for the Bengals as far as pass rush. 2 years ago, he finished 4th. Last year, he finished like 22nd, and a couple years before that, finished like 26th. He's always kind of been in that 6 to 9 range. Been a decent, solid guy, but never someone who's put up those 15, 20 kind of sack numbers. And you look at last year. Okay, last year he only had 8. 20 guys finishing above him, so going to the top 3 is kind of absurd. No one's really talking nationally about him being a late pass rusher or being in the top 2 or 3. But I think it's very feasible, because you look at 2 years ago when he finished 4th, just 1 sack away from number 3. The things that he had to have that helped them, one, our offense was great. 2 years ago, we were scoring tons of points. Nugent wasn't missing, well, he was missing kicks, but we were still scoring a lot of points like that. Walton was throwing a lot of touchdowns, few turnovers. Jeremy Hill was scoring a lot. The teams had to play catch-up. And when they have to play catch-up, they have to throw the ball a lot. That gives your defense a lot of times to, as if they pin their ears back and go after the quarterback. And that leads to a lot of sacks and a lot of pressures. And that's what we were getting last year. The offense couldn't get out of their way. They were playing from behind, and the opponents didn't have to drive crazy to catch up. So we just didn't have those opportunities. This year, in theory, the offense should be better. They're in their 2nd year in Zampese's offense. In year 2 with Gruden, in year 2 with Hugh Jackson, the Bengals' offense has got much better. You can assume something probably similar this year. They improved the running game with Joe Mixon, who was arguably a top running back in this year's draft class, if not, the last 5 or 10 draft classes. They got a additional wide receiver and John Ross, who added speed, which is something they've kind of lacked for a while. And Green is someone who can stretch the defense. Green should be back hopefully for the whole year. Eifert possibly will play all year. So things are kind of looking up on the offensive side, which means more yardage, more points, which means the defenses may have to throw more. That puts Dunlap back in the situation he was in 2 years ago, where he has more of a chance to be a pure pass rusher and get those sacks, get those hurries, get those pressures. And then the other thing is the addition of guys we've mentioned on the podcast already today, guys like Carl Lawson, there's also Willis from Kansas State, Andrew Billings, guys who are better, who in theory should be better pass rushers than what we have. So you get these pass rushers on the offensive line. That means the quarterback is going to be under a lot more pressure. He's going to be forced into Dunlap more times. And obviously, it works both ways. Because Dunlap can put, but it gives him more one-on-one coverages, and so basically improving the pass rush all around. So all that being said, trying to make this as much as possible without trying to forget anything obvious, I think is another reason why this prediction isn't all that crazy. But I think it's something that is very feasible.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I went a little bit last week with my Denard prediction. Is there wasn't a Reggie Nelson on the team last year that grabbed 7-8 interceptions. It was kind of spread around a bit. A lot of quarterbacks avoided throwing a lot of passes towards Adam Jones and Dre Kirkpatrick. And I think, my reasoning, and it sounds kind of similar to what you're talking about in terms of other amassed talent, but my reasoning with Denard had to do with the fact that he'll probably be targeted a lot in the slot, and he might finally just kind of turn a corner and stay healthy and put some nice games together. And hopefully that is the case, because that'll help the Bengals defense a lot. Good stuff from you, Scott.